Welcome to the One Mindful Minute, your very oasis of daily well-being in the busy world. You may already know you have the power to transform your world, but have you fully tapped into it? In this podcast, I'll share how to unlock the power to enhance your life through the art of living well. With insightful interviews and guided practices, we'll uncover the secrets to inner calm and wellness. It is time to tune in and transform. Welcome back to this episode. Today, I'd like to welcome a very special guest, an expert in mindfulness and meditation, หลวงพี่พัสระ นมัสการ ค่ะ
Hello.
So we'll start with a little bit of some personal journey with such an expert like yourself. How did you get started on the mindfulness? Or maybe I'm a little bit ahead of myself here. I think we'll backtrack a little bit of how long have you been a monk? We'll start with that.
Well, I have been a monk for 18 years. I entered into the monastic life at the age of 28. So for me, the journey of mindfulness has always been part of my life because I have been, brought to the temple by my parents since I was very young. Actually, ever since I was born, I have known to be practicing meditation. But just like any other kids, during the process of growing up, hitting puberty and just like that, other stuff seems to be more fun, just like everybody else. So that's what I had in one part of my life would be just normal, growing up at just like everybody else in schools, having jobs, relationship and all that. But on the other side, I also have been learning how to practice meditation since I at the very young age. So with that in mind, when I was working, how we growing up and we just want to have fun and all that. It was just like, it was kind of everything. Went to the party, going out, traveling around the world. My job was I was a flight attendant. So imagine how much trouble I have been making in my whole life. When I hit 28 years old, I sort of had this feeling, a strong feeling that I wanted to take a break because it was a lot. I felt that my life was very overwhelming with everything that was going on. So I somehow managed to get a 4 months vacation, which was amazing. That how could it be possible? So 4 months would be good to get some time off for myself. So that's when I entered into short-term monkhood, which was available in Thailand. You can just be a monk for some period of time. It could be some weeks or months. So I decided to be a monk for 4 months. The first week, it was like living in hell, Everything was really hard, so much rules. I had to get up like 4:20 in the morning. And I was always been jet lagged, as a person with work in the airline industry. So, but then I remember that in particular night, after 2 weeks passed, I got up and it was just the feeling that everything felt silent, absolutely tranquil. And that's what is really kind of amazed me. That I had this feeling like somehow this is so calm, and I never had this such sense of peace and calmness for very long. And it happened with me, and when I had no possession at all, I had 3 mobile phones 18 years ago. At that moment, I had nothing, just a box and living in a tent. Well, that was really, really amazing for me. And that's how I decided to continue a bit more. After 4 months, become 6 months, now 18 years.
Wow. So your intention was to start out with just 1 month.
4.
Oh, 4 months. But you got the time off of work 1 month?
4 months.
Oh, 4 months. So why would a 28 years old man in your prime decided to enter the monkhood when you have 4 months off instead of go do something that's, more fun, right?
I guess that since the traveling has always been part of the job, so traveling is not really in my idea of doing it during the vacation. So that's what I was thinking, that if I have a long vacation off, it will be better to just spend it quietly for myself. And that's when it kind of more intriguing for me to enter a monastic lifestyle. It's almost been in my head like I should have been doing this, sometimes before that, but I was busy, with relationships, with my education, with my jobs. It was always something to do. But then suddenly I managed to have this, available schedule. It's like, okay, that'll be cool, before hitting 30. And actually that was also the main point because I used to have this motto to myself, work hard, play hard, So I work really hard. I work like, when I was before the flight attendant, I was a manager in the hotel. At that time, I worked 13 hours a day, 6 days a week. So I was really kind of workaholic, really into it. But at the same time, I was really, party hard as much. And that's when I felt like I needed the time for myself before hitting 30 so that I can set the direction how I want to, how I want my life to be.
Wow, very inspiring how you can just going from having 3 phones and always traveling, and you get to see the world, and being a flight attendant, you probably get to fly for free too, right?
Yep. And even if I had to pay, the employee's ticket was relatively very cheap.
Yeah, I can imagine. Because in one part of my life, when I was in my early 20s, I wanted to be a flight attendant just so I can travel the world, just similar to yours. So I can imagine. So going from having all the things that you were, that a 28 years old would have to enjoy life and to not have any of that, because being in a monkhood, you have to give up all of those entertainment, physical, mental, emotional. And what about the monkhood in 4 months that keep sticking with you and turns you into a 4 months experience into now your whole life?
For me, the most important part, if I have to sort of summarize it, it would be the understanding how different between fun, pleasure, happiness, and convenience are. That this really has been something that really making me understanding life in different approach. Because I have been traveling a lot, and it's always been going around, having fun, doing this, doing that, until at one point I was very bored with all this traveling. I've been to the same place. At some point, I went to this country. I had nothing to do but just went to the gym. That's it. That's all I did. Because it was always repeating, and I had this feeling deep down inside that is this like all about just this? So when I had this moment to myself, even though life was a bit more difficult, everything has to be a bit more labor intensive. I spent a lot of time sitting down to meditate. It was so painful at the time. But what I really had was that total freedom of mind. Like how the feeling when you got up in one day and suddenly there was nothing in your head to worry about. Not a single thing. Doesn't matter how I look. Doesn't matter what I had to do, what I have to go. It's just free. It's like total relief. And that sense of serenity, it was different from anything I know, no matter how much fun I had before. It was nothing compared to what I realized that in order to find happiness, it had to start from finding what inner peace and serenity is like. Because otherwise we always kind of bombarding our life with noises, and we confuse that to happiness. By happiness, it's starting from this feeling deep inside when everything just settled down and such contentment of the moment itself. And that's why I noticed that being a monk gave me such feeling of relief and happiness.
That is such a beautiful journey. And how long did it take you to get to that realization?
After the first week, it was like I said, it was like hell, because we're sleeping in a monk's tent. And monk's tent, it was not like your fancy camping tent. It was an umbrella. A big umbrella. And it was tied to a pole and covered with mosquito net and lay plastic sheet underneath. So I am 6'2". So that means I can only sleep half the umbrella. So basically, there's the umbrella. because it was too big for it.
No stretching out for you.
No, not at all. And, I had to sleep like that for a whole month and a half. And 2 meals a day, breakfast and lunch, getting up 4:20 in the morning, meditating 8 hours a day. So the first week, it was always snoozing, slumbering, jet lag. Like, I couldn't remember what's going on. My It was just blurry. Like I said, suddenly after I felt that strong hit of serenity, I felt calm. And I began to just take it in, literally one day at a time. I don't care about the food. I don't care about the weather. Nothing much. And suddenly I felt kind of content. Like, I don't really mind having nothing at all, but just each day that passes by, I felt very, very content with it. So after 4 months, I extended with the remaining leave without pay until I could extend it to 6 months. And that I had to make a final decision whether I wanted to go through with the monk's life or have to quit the monkhood and return back to my job. So that final break, I was thinking to myself that if I quit at the time, I would have gone back to my old lifestyle. And the lifestyle that I was so bored with it at some point, I would just travel every places and then what? Eating everything and then what? So I thought to myself, why would I waste 20 years of my life just to come back to this again? Why wouldn't I just continue with this? Because I've already found something that very serene, and that's why I decided to quit the job and continue. And it's been 18 years.
Wow, that's a big decision.
Uh-huh.
And it is a total life-changing experience.
You can say that. It changed completely.
It's very extreme. And now for normal people, like the listener who might be, watching or listening into this podcast, they might be wondering, how are you able to just not worry about your family? Because obviously you have a family. And how do you just decide that everything is going to be okay?
Well, I kind of caught a nice break, I guess, because it was the moment I sort of have the end of my romantic relationship. So I was sort of free at the time. And from my family side with my parents, they were very, very happy about it. When I told them that I was thinking about continuing my monk's life, and they was like, do whatever you like. Don't worry about us. We're fine right here. Because, I think for them, the ideas of me entering into something very responsible, disciplined, meaningful, spiritual is something that they never sees in me. And suddenly, I decided to take some decision that was so responsible for them. I think they were very happy about it. Rather than this, just saw me, just work hard, play hard, spend my days any day that I don't work, I just went out. So I started to choose something very essential and meaningful to my life. And I think that made them be really happy that I have found something. So that's how I have to worry much about family.
So now that we come to this point, what would you recommend someone who is actually looking into practicing mindfulness and, of course, meditation to have a life-changing experience? So maybe not as extreme as you, maybe a little toned down version and still living a normal commoner's life.
I think the best way to define the word mindfulness or meditation is the moment of pause. The pause moment is like, just like when you play a song and you just hit pause, and that silence we have been missing out. So anytime when people practicing meditation, that is the moment they turn the attention back to be with themselves and become more aware of what's going on around them and within them. And then they can start to see the world from different perspectives. So normally we can only see the things on the outside based on, how my eyes see everything. But the moment that we pause, we turn the eyes, looking back inside, it's like we're stepping back and looking everything from the third person perspective. So I see how me and the world reacted to each other rather than just how the world is been treating me. And that gives me a different, way of understanding. So meditation is basically a skill to bring attention back to be conscious of the moment. Mindfulness is basically, meditation is basically the state of prolonged mindfulness, because the word mindfulness is the literal translation is just mean to know, to be aware of the moment, of what's going on in the moment. You can be aware of your thought, you can be aware of your stress, you can be aware about anything. The moment of awareness is when, you're mindful. We just don't have that much in our life. So when we develop it to be a skill, you suddenly give it a pause moment. So you can start this something very simple in your bedroom, because it is a habit. You can't just start something in your life in one day. That's what people love to do. They love to revolutionize their life. And then the day tomorrow, let's say you want to exercise, the first thing you will do will be, buying all the clothes, the shoes, and try to run, 10 kilometers. And a couple of days later, you started to get tired, and you're not going to do it again. And, you never touch those things and those gears again. So why don't you just give it a shot? Same thing, simple. Like sitting on your bed, lay down against the wall, the headrest, close your eyes, just take a deep breath just to feel the moment, just observing what's going on with you. Let your thought passing by in your mind, as if you're just watching all these birds in your head keep flying until you just, okay, I'm settled, lie down. It could be only 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the beginning, and after get up, follow the same thing again. Just sit on your bed, taking in, feeling that you're immersing yourself in that state of being in the present before moving on. So if you're starting with something simple like that, and you even give it to another step, like before you start your car, before you start your jobs, before you begin your meeting, having just 1 minute, closing your eyes, take a deep breath. I'm settled right here, pause, reset. That will sort of bring your mindfulness to be part of your days. And automatically you begin to have this small pause moment. And each time the pause moment happens, it creates reflection moment as well. And that makes things different because we started to step back, reset.
Yes, that sounds very simple. Now, what about for people who are quite impatient? Because we're living in a world that everything is instant, right? You want something, you want food delivered. You call Uber Eats or whatever service, and then 30 minutes or 45 minutes later, you have food delivered at your door, right? And we are in this era of no patience. Whoever can deliver the fastest service will go to that person, right? So now this is the same thing. This is a path of self-realization. And when you keep practicing mindfulness and you just haven't noticed the change, so what would you suggest?
I think it is more about getting caught up with the expectation of how life-changing experience should be, I think people have been a little bit bombarding with the medias and novels and fictions and how, I have been reading Eat, Pray, Love, and this is how my transformation of life should be. It should turn my world upside down and quit the job tomorrow. It doesn't work that way, It's like exercise. They will say the first thing you hit the gym, and what they say to you will be no pain, no gain. If you want to gain the muscle, you have to do the work. It will come at a price, at a cost. Mindfulness is the same. It's a skill set that you finally develop until it will be part of your habit. But you can start that habit small, because if we never do it before, it'll be, very hard to retain the amount of willpower to do it long period of time every day. But do you think of it this way, like mindfulness is not a practice for you to get really intense about it, but it's the break moment of your day that your mind can really get some rest for yourself. So if you think that this is my rest time for just 5 minutes, it's not a lot. And then when you started to, following it through at a certain time, the new habit of turning attention back to be here will become more automatic. And that's when you started to feel the change, that you sort of let go of things easier. You sort of detach yourself from these emotional, effects around you easier. You started of taking things a bit slower. You become more responsive rather than reactive on every single thing that has been hitting on you. Instead of let every issues dragging you in different directions all the time, you started to, okay, I can keep the pace of how I want the life to be. Whether it's going to be fast, whether it's going to be slow, it's within my control. Rather than, my job is dragging me to one side, relationship the other side, and I have tried to be keeping up with both, but it will be impossible to be two places at once. So which should be the priority. Normally, we don't really have the time to pause and reprioritize. So when mindfulness practice has become a bit more habitual, that was going on. We started to take a break, take it in, reflect. Okay, just replan my game and how I want to enter it. It comes as often play. Yeah.
I love that very much. Yes, it's so you basically saying it is a retreat for us to just take that moment for ourselves. Now, does it matter where we do it?
Wherever you feel comfortable is actually the best. I think people love to set too much conditions for this thing, I have to be at some place, I have to be on top of the mountain, by the beach and all that. I have to have this yoga mat, this meditation cushion, and light up incense. It doesn't really matter. It's only facilitating, it makes things easier, but it doesn't make that moment of awareness or consciousness come to you. It's only those things that you do make it feels easier, I guess. But eventually, it could be just a corner in your bedroom where you just wanted to sit down, take a quiet moment, and this is my personal corner of peace, just right here at this spot. Wherever you feel, it could be just a bench in the park. You just could be at your desk, in your cubicle, putting on the headset and just play some kind of natural sound in the back, in the headphone. And it could be just that, So basically, wherever you feel that this is the place, because eventually mindfulness is not this practice that it has to be a certain place or certain time. It is the character of our mind, that where we can be mindful with everything. So that starts from being part of it, not something that I have to set extra condition for it.
Wow. Yes, that is so true. Because we do have to, we do have that mindset that we, in order for us to do this, we have to do that, right? Yeah, that is so true. Yeah, now that you put it that way, it makes so much more sense.
Oh, totally. Imagine if you want to exercise and you have to exercise by going to the gyms 2 hours every single day. How are you going to find the time 2 hours every day to hit the gym? If you study for the first day, if you never exercised before, that is impossible. You may do it for like a week, but after a week, I'm not going to do that again. So if you make exercise become part of you, let's say every single day after I get up, I do 2 push-ups by my bed, then exercise become part of you. So instead of, using elevator for a couple of floors, you started to using the stair instead. So these things become part of you, you kind of insert it as a part of your life. Now it's becoming part of you. You don't really feel the work.
Yeah. Wow. Yes, that's it. It's so true, especially the example that you just gave us. It's really obvious because a lot of time people is like, I have to drive at least 15, 20 minutes to the gym. And then by that time, you probably like, oh my gosh, traffic is really bad. Took 30 minutes to get to the gym. It's very time consuming. So you end up not going to the gym. So yeah, you're right. You could do the stairs if you're in a tall building, right? And instead of elevator. And that's really obvious. And it goes the same way with mindfulness.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is that when you started to do that as a habit, it's easier to motivate yourself to go to the next step. So whether you wanted to up your game to meditate 30 minutes every single day, to spend many days in meditation retreat somewhere, it's easier for you to get that motivation to up your game. But if you never start small, or it's never become part of you, and suddenly you wanted to do life-changing experience, it could work once, but it will be just one amazing experience that I never visited again.
Yeah, that would be a shame. like we had a conversation prior to this episode, and we talked about some things that kind of similar to what you just said. You have this one breakthrough or the wonderful experience that you have never had before, and that's all because you take a moment for yourself. And then when you have that feeling and then you thought, okay, you have to go back to the same place and do it the same way, but it's not true, isn't it?
Every single time I conduct a meditation retreat, it could be just a couple of days, could be 2 weeks. The first day, for those newcomers, I always say this to them, that when you come to meditation retreat, it's not about gaining the deeper experience of life-changing experience. It's about learning about your mind and how you can take this retreat back into your life. This island, this mountain, is not your reality. It's only your break. So where you can just, nurture your body and your mind, get better understanding before going back out there again. But however, what you need to know would be, it's like one day you're fish in this pond, and you were taken out into this new one, where everything is controlled, environment is controlled, everything is pampered. So you kind of get easier to retreat yourself, taking care of yourself. But these fish gonna have to go back to the old habitat. And we are animal of habit. So everything in our days, and the moment you get up until you go back to sleep, 80-90% you just follow your routine. And these are the habits that we have already been installed in our life. So it becomes automatic. So if we don't really trying to use those terms in the retreat to understand the pattern of myself and going back to recreate a new habit, only a week or two, everything just going back to the same thing again. So that's why I said, if you can slowly add meditation and mindfulness as part of your habit, you don't really have to make an effort because it becomes part of you. And that's when you really get the benefit, because that is your reality, where you're actually living in it. And that's why we want the benefits of meditation and mindfulness the most.
Wow. Yes, that's very, very true. And a lot of researchers about meditation have actually tap into this part too, that we are creature of habits, right? So we always going to go back to the same old habits unless our new habits are a lot stronger, a lot more dominant than the old habits. So now, to help us change the habits and tap into the power of mindfulness and meditation, what would be your most favorite technique personally, and what you have taught, because you're a teaching monk, and what you have taught to your students in the past? And you probably get feedback, so I'm sure you are holding a lot of secrets.
I don't think it's a secret or anything, though. I would say it's more like misconception, how people think meditation would be. First thing first, the term meditation is the Western word, and it literally translates as mental action or spiritual practice. It technically means you gotta do something. While meditation is not about doing anything at all, it's about completely disengaged from any mental action. So imagine this one way. You have the understanding your whole life that in meditation, I got to think, I got to contemplate, I got to do something. But the actual practice is completely disengaged. It was just the other way around. In Buddhism, we don't actually have the term meditation as a word. We use the word bhavana, and it literally translates as development. It means the practice that slowly develop consciousness, awareness, state of peace, and focus. So that's the word that we use. So to understand meditation, start from having clear up with these misconceptions. Number one, we can't force our mind to be absence of thought. Because most people, when they practice meditation, they would try to silence their mind right away. And if they can, they will say, meditation is not for me. I can't do it. I think too much. The answer from me will be, congratulations. You're just like everybody on this planet. Nobody can stop their mind from thinking. That's a reality. You can try it. If you can't do it with your eye open, how can you do it with your eye closed? It doesn't make a difference. Just try it right now. See if you last more than 10 seconds not thinking about anything. You won't. And that's a reality. So if it's not going to happen, with your eyes open, sure, it's not going to happen with the eyes closed. So don't do something that is impossible. And that's what people are trying to do. Force their mind not to think. And after some point, everything just keep coming back. So when I explain that, the first thing is that meditation will be like heart monitor. Have you seen the heart monitor that is started with a beep and a bit of flat line, another beep, another flat line? So that is how meditation will be for everybody. It will start with some distraction of thought. It will have a beat of silence and another distraction, another thought. But if you keep coming back to the starting point, eventually the silence between each beat will be longer and longer. And that's where you feel that state of peace and silence in the meditation. It's not going to be a flat line from the beginning to the end. So that's the first misconception. The second one would be, people will be so uptight about how to do it. So let's say if I say you need to focus on your breath, what you're trying to do is to fix attention with how are you going to be breathing. This is by breathing in, this is by breathing out. After 10, 15 minutes, you will start to feel kind of exhausted, frustrated, irritated, because you feel something that unnatural. Because we try to kind of regulating these things, but it's not natural for us. For example, if you're sitting still and you're doing nothing, you're supposed to be breathing lighter and slower, not faster. So that means because you don't really, move your body much, you need less energy, right? So automatically you will have to need less oxygen, and thus, reduce your breathing rate. But when you try to regulate your breath the same way all the time, at certain point it's like you're already full when you try to put food in. It won't be comfortable. So the practice of meditation, let's say the breathing technique, the terms that we use in our text, the translation will be aware at the point where there is no breath. So it's not about regulating your breath, but it's about feeling, now my breath goes in, now my breath goes out. You are observing this flow. You're not regulating the flow. So same thing goes with any techniques of meditation. You are observing things that you choose to pick on, because we just want our mind to stay with certain kind of thought that we choose. Every technique of meditation are basically thoughts. So, but instead of letting it go randomly, you just pick whatever you feel. Okay, I pick the thought of my body sensation. I pick the thought of comfort. I pick the thought of space. I pick the thought of visualization, the mantra. That's what I choose to observe it, not really repeating the word in my mind like a singer. Supposed to be like listening to the background music kind of thing. As a result of that, you get more comfortable, and when you're comfortable, you want to stay with it longer. Just like if I force you to do something that you don't want to, how long are you going to stay with it? Not very long, until, you're not going to get the benefit of it, right? But if you do it fun, you enjoy doing it, you can stay with it, for as long as you want. And that's how meditation will be like.
Wow. You make it sound like easy, super easy. But when we actually, practice it, it's a lot more details than just what you said, right? So that makes it a lot more challenging for a lot of people. So basically, there come to two techniques. One is stop trying too hard. And two, just observe and not participate in that, and just be an observer.
So I normally give them the tips that I would call checkpoints. these checkpoints help you to keep coming back to your seat. Think of it this way. If you go to the cinema, what is your task in the cinema? Watch the film. You're not the director. You're not a commentator, right? So your job is to, shut up and watch the movie.
Just be entertained.
Exactly. But there'll be moments that you somehow jump into the screen, become an actor or actress in the movie, engage into the conversation with other characters, moving from scene to scene. That's when you're lost in thought. So anytime you jump into the screen, it's okay. It's not a big deal. You don't need to try to force the movie to end. You don't need to share any screen. You just need to come back to your seat. You sit back, relax, watch it again. Anytime you jump into the screen, each time, keep coming back. And that is what checkpoints can help you to come back to this point. So the first checkpoint would be sitting posture. Start from observing how you sit. It doesn't matter if you choose to be sitting on the floor, or on the chair, on your couch, on your bed. Make sure this is a posture that you sit and feel like I am so balanced and I can stay exactly like this for as long as I want. That would be the first one. Second, total body relaxation by slowly relaxing one part at a time from head to toes, because that will help turn your attention back to be with yourself. At the same time, you become more relieved from holding on to physical senses, and that's how your mind going back inside. Number 3, follow your breath and just feel it in and out for a couple of times, and you can even imagine yourself in an empty, open space, or it could be a beautiful scenery. If you like the beach or the mountaintop, wherever you feel that this is my space, where I'm here all alone without the need to care about anybody or anything at all, just me right here on my spot. And then if you feel at one point kind of, very present, turn it back inside to feel this inner comfort within where your breath ends. And just stay right there. And that's it. Anytime you get distracted at a certain point, come back to the starting. Number 1, how my posture is. Relaxing the body. Is my body still relaxing? Back into my space and back to the inside. And keep coming back like that. Doesn't matter if you have to restart 30 times, 40 times, because each time you are being mindful, you're developing consciousness, and that's good.
That is so simple. Now, all my listeners and watcher out there, when you want to practice this technique from our expert of this episode, please give me a feedback in the comment somewhere, wherever you are listening from, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube channel. Make sure you share this feedback if you have tried this technique. And now for those office people who are sitting at the desk, this shall be easy too, right? Because you can just close your eyes and just maybe lift your upper body up and lower the shoulders down. And this could be the first relaxation that someone that's sitting in the office or at the desk can do, right?
Totally. You can even put your head, against the cubicle somewhere. Just let me unwind for a bit and feel yourself. Feel the relaxation flowing, filling up your body, one part at a time, just right here. You can even picture yourself. I'm sitting on the beach and just me with the sun, the sand, the breeze right here. And just feel the breath. That's it.
Wow, that is such a valuable information that you shared today. And I would like to ask you the before and after feeling of your whole life of practicing. Well, because you started at a very young age in a Buddhist family, kind of similar to myself, since we both are from Thailand. And you had shared with me prior to this recording that there's 2 feelings, and I have to have you say this in this recording because I love those very much. The before feeling and after feeling that you have had.
With meditation?
With the meditation and the mindfulness practice all this years.
Honestly, I don't remember what I said to you before, but I do know something, that the simplicity of life, that how happiness is not about what we have been searching for, wanting, grasping, looking for, is right here all along. It comes automatically when we don't try to look for anything, just that mood of contentment. And that's what I really feel. Because even though I said to you that I have been learning meditation ever since I was young, I learning as a method. I did practice it when I was a kid, but to do it intensively is after 28 years old when I became a monk, and that's why that I feel way different from it. Is that the feeling of how life is so simple, and we just exaggerate it a lot with all these checklists, with all these medias, with chasing up our, I don't even know what is illusion or dreams, or it's not reality. And we try to hold on to this imaginary rope and expect to reach the mountain top, and it's not going to get any of us there, because this is not reality. So the moment we just, okay, settle down, take a deep breath in, okay, this is my reality, that's when we actually accepting how it is. And the moment that we accepting how it is, thing will come, thing will go, thing will get better, thing will get worse. This is common for everyone. And when we embrace that reality, we started to feel content. And then everything that comes by in life is a bonus. And happiness becomes so simple to get. You can be just looking out the window, it's like, take a deep breath. I'm so happy to be alive for another day. Not just like, getting up in Monday morning, so not another whole week of working.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, but I have to do it again.
Exactly, And imagine if you get off the first feeling you got on Monday morning, and the feeling now, another week I have to go through. You already start your week with the feeling not wanting to be there. But if every single day is just, I'm so happy to be alive, life is a blessing, it's a totally different world. And that's when you feel contentment. And it comes as so different when we are not looking for anything that we create as an illusion and expect us to be there. If you're going to be running a marathon is 42 kilometers away. You don't know what finish line look like. You can only imagine how it looked like. Reality is completely different, right? So what you need to do is take your time with your pace. If you're running too fast, you're not going to get there. If you're running too slow, you may get there, but a little too slow. But eventually, it's about keeping your pace, taking your time, enjoy the view. Finally, you get there. But most people love to do is to create these 100 meters finish line, right? Illusion that appears like a mirage. And when we get closer, you keep pushing away further and further. Somehow we feel that I never achieve or never reach anything. And the crazy thing about human is that the expectation of pain is worse than the pain itself. And the expectations of reward, and when we actually get it, it doesn't feel as good.
Yes. It's, yeah. Wow. I cannot agree more, because this goes with people who make money as well. People who are actually, set goal out, I'm going to make, 10 millions this year. And when they get to 10 millions, they just set another goal of chasing, let's do 20 millions now. See if I can do that, right? And it becomes a moving target, because you just keep chasing it.
We want to gratify it. We don't the gratification of the success, but deep down inside, there always is empty hole that I cannot fill it in. I'm still feeling incomplete. And that's why I kept trying to get it more and more in order to fill this hole, this gap inside. But it's never be full. And we don't even know that that gap comes from our own endless desire. As long as I keep pushing for this, I'm not going to be able to fill this hole, because this hole can be filled the moment I feel content. I'm not saying money is a bad thing, I'm not saying you guys quit your jobs and stop working. No. I never really mean that. What I mean is that, why are you doing this? Do you even spare a single moment to reflect why you do what you're doing? You just keep in with the checklist that, this is your idea of success would be like, and does it really give you happiness? What do you really, really want? How do you really, really feel? Those reflections that we kind of miss a lot. That's kind of what I like to point out to people, that money can buy convenience, it can buy fun, it can buy many things, but it doesn't guarantee happiness. You can be the richest person in the world. It doesn't guarantee you're always going to be happy. Surely you can buy the best meal in the world, but it doesn't make you feel happy all the time. So don't confuse convenience, comfort with happiness. They are not the same thing. I'm not saying that it's bad, but it's just not the same. So if you want to find happiness, start from looking back inside.
Wow. Yes. That's the feeling that a lot of people are chasing for on a daily basis, the comfort, the security. Yeah. And you're right, because a lot of times people are confusing that for happiness, and they think they'll be happy if they just get a raise at work. They'll be happier if they can just win the lottery and get a lot of money in their bank account. But you're right. That can be a confusion of where the true happiness lies.
Totally. Remember when we were a kid and we can't wait to grow up? And now we wish that, how could I turn back the clock?
Oh my God, yes. That is definitely opening a can of worms, because especially right before you can get a driver license, you just like, oh my gosh, I just want to be 16 so I can get a driver license and I can leave the house whenever I want to leave. My parents will not be able to stop me, right? And then now we're like, oh my gosh, I wish I was that young again so I can redo, some things in life, but live and learn.
Exactly. That's the thing. That's what I mean. That this gratification of this success and happiness is just the feeling of expectation that is not reality. And the expectation just look amazing. It's like a castle. And reality, when we reached there, was like a cottage. That's why we look for more.
Yes. There's never ending until we end it ourselves.
Yep, exactly.
Yes. Oh, this has been such a wonderful conversation, and I would love to have you back again. And maybe next episode we'll have you do a mini meditation, a guided meditation, or a mindfulness practice of some sort with you, so the listener can get a little taste of what technique you use and what does it feel like to actually be guided by you, a Buddhist monk who have been in a monkhood and been committed your life on this journey for so long. And we'll have to keep the listeners stay tuned and come back again for our very next episode, hopefully sooner than later, because you have a very busy schedule. So I have to hunt you back down again to do our recording again. So thank you so much for today's episode and your knowledge and experience that you have shared with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, all the listener out there. Make sure you let us know how you like this episode, and if you have any suggestion for topics and comments, or even a question for Phra Pasura, please drop your comments in the comment section below, and we'll be sure to get back to you. See you in the next episode.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode and inspired to take the next step in your wellness journey to building more resilient and effective days at home and at work. I want to invite you to get in touch with me to learn more about the customized wellness programs that could benefit your team, your organization, whether it be retreats, workshops, 21-day meditation challenge, you name it. Let us collaborate to supercharge your well-being today.